Namaskar. Dear students, in my previous talks, I was discussing about Walt Whitman and his contribution to American poetry and American literature. And we discussed about The Leaves of Grass, Song of Myself, and I told you that Song of Myself is divided into, or it consists of 52 sections, which can be broadly divided into 5 phases. The first phase is the awakening of the soul. The second phase is about the purification of the soul. The third is about illumination, and the fourth is about the dark night of the soul, and finally it is the union. The final phase is about union. Now, out of these 52 sections, section 1 to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 sections, they constitute the exordium or introduction to the entire poem, or you may say it is about the awakening of the soul, and it is an awakening or a spiritual journey. It is the realization that dawns on the poet that he has to undertake a spiritual journey. So before I analyze the poem line by line, I will tell you something about each section before I discuss the poem. So we will concentrate mainly on the 4 sections which I told you. They constitute the introduction to the spiritual journey supposed to be undertaken by Walt Whitman. Now section 1 is about the identity of the human being, that is the author. It is worked out here. In the first line of the poem, you will find I. I is emphasized here. But in the second line itself, you or the other man comes within the poetic vision. So in the first line, you find the word I, but in the second line there is you. Here I and you could very well be self and the ego, or you could also be an address to the reader. It depends on the interpretation. You may think that it is about the poet and the reader. It is about I may mean the self and you may mean the ego. And actually what happens, the speaker is trying to place himself against the external world and imagine himself as part of a larger canvas. He and his soul are so different that he has to invite his soul while observing a spear of grass as an integral part of nature, just as he is. Something very significant here is that the poet makes a distinction between himself and his soul. And you know, he invites his soul while he is observing a spear of grass. And again at the same time we will find there is a complete assimilation of the poetic self with the macrocosmic self of the nature. He identifies himself to be a part of nature, just as the spear of grass is. While creeds and schools in abeyance are not to be denied completely, Whitman assures that nature without check with original energy is the kind of seeking he prefers for his spiritual journey. So see, one thing is significant here. Schools and creeds in abeyance, while opting to undertake a spiritual journey, the speaker does not rely so much on what he had learned in his schools and what he had learned in his religious books. So creeds and schools are temporarily suspended. They are kept under a temporary suspension. And what is essential for the poet is, what he actually wants to find out is nature without check with original energy. These are the very words of the poem. He wants to be one with nature. He wants to feel the full power of nature, the impulse of nature. That is what he wants to do. And the spiritual journey that he wants to undertake there, the school, creed, books, they are not going to be any help to the poet. Rather, it is all about nature. It is all about the vastness, the enormity, and the invigorating impact of nature that he wishes to find out. Now, let us discuss the poem section 1 of Song of Myself. First, let me read out the poem, then I will explain it line by line. I celebrate myself and sing myself, and what I assume, you shall assume. For every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. My tongue, every atom of my blood, formed from this soil, this air. Born here of parents, born here from parents the same, and their parents the same. I, now 37 years old, in perfect health begin, hoping to cease not till death. Creeds and schools in abeyance, retiring back a while, sufficed at what they are, but never forgotten. I harbor for good or bad, I permit to speak at every hazard, nature without check with original energy. So the intention of the poet, actually what he wants to do in this spiritual journey that he wants to undertake as the Bard of America, is introduced in this section. So try to follow the poem. It will be better if you look at the poem as I am explaining. It will help you to understand the poem better, because I will be explaining every line. I celebrate myself and sing myself. So the poetic persona celebrates himself and he sings. And what I assume, you shall assume. And in the second line you can see there is a reference to, there is a word you. So here there is I, that is the poet or poetic persona, and you may be the reader. And some critics say that I may be the self and you may be the ego. But whatever it is, he is sure that whatever he will assume, you shall also assume. For every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. His body consists of atoms, and he knows that the atoms that constitute his body, they also constitute the body of the readers. So there is no difference, between him and other human beings. I loaf and invite my soul. So here something more distinct is pronounced when he is inviting his soul. So we can see that there is a distinction between the poet and his soul, and here what he is doing, he is inviting his soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, in a very comfortable manner he is observing a spear of summer grass. Generally in a winter country like England or America, summer is a very beautiful season, and the fresh summer grass, leaves of the grass that the poet is observing, and he is identifying himself with the beautiful summer grass, and he is enjoying, and he is inviting his soul. My tongue, every atom of my blood, formed from this soil, this air. So this here refers to America, and he says that his tongue and every atom of my blood. See, this tongue and atom, this tongue and blood, these are the metonymies. Metonymies means the small things which represent a whole or which represent a big thing. So they stand for the entirety or the totality of human existence, the totality of physical existence, body. My tongue, every atom of my blood, that means my entire body, formed from this soil, this air. They have been formed by this soil, by the air, by the earth, air. As we in Indian philosophy believe that our body consists of 5 elements: earth, air, water, fire and sky. So he thinks and he asserts that his body consists of the soil and air of America, born here of parents, born here from parents the same, and their parents the same. So he is born from his parents, who were born from their parents, and their parents were born from their parents. Their bodies also consisted of the same soil and air of America. I, now 37 years old in perfect health, begin. So we come to know that the poet, when he starts writing the poem, is 37 years old, and now he is in perfect health, and he now begins what? He begins his spiritual journey. Hoping to cease not till death, he hopes that he will not stop till death. That means his spiritual journey will continue non-stop. It will continue incessantly, continuously, without any interruption, not till death. Creeds and schools in abeyance. So here the influence of creeds and schools would not be rejected altogether, though it would be secondary to nature itself. He wants to keep in abeyance. He wants to keep the creeds, the religious beliefs, the schools, whatever he learned in his school, whatever learning he has got from his childhood, he wants to suspend them, all the learnings, for a time being, temporarily, retiring back a while sufficed as they are, but never forgotten. So they can never be altogether be forgotten. You cannot completely do away with your creeds and whatever you learn from your schools, but they are not all. Even though you cannot forget them altogether, still they are not all, and they are not going to fetch you that spiritual knowledge which the poet is trying to find out. I harbor for good or bad, so he can undertake the journey. There may be good luck, there may be bad luck, whatever may be the situation he will undertake. I permit to speak at every hazard. So at every difficulty, at every obstacle, he will speak. Nature without check, with original energy, what he actually wants is this. He wants a primitive experience with a nature not yet harnessed by human forces. Nature is supposed to be a very powerful force, a very mysterious, very vast, invigorating, benevolent force, and the poet wants to harness the force of nature, the forces of nature which have yet remained unharnessed by human beings, by human forces. So by being at one with nature, by coming in close contact with nature, by establishing a close rapport with nature, he wants to harness the original energy, because without nature a man cannot attain fulfillment in his life. So one thing is here that Whitman wants to start his journey, that is the spiritual journey, in association with nature. And for this journey, the religious beliefs and the learnings of school are not important, they are secondary. And what is of primary concern is the poet's close rapport, close connection with nature. So with this we come to the end of section 1. Now we will discuss section 2.